Good morning, my fellow AAC fraternity members. I'm Saurabh Bansal and I'm founder and CEO of Magicrete. I have with me my colleague and co-founder Siddharth Bansal, who will be taking us through this presentation on production and uses of AAC in India. It is a great pleasure to be speaking in front of this esteemed global audience of AAC members. 5 years ago, at the 6th AAC conference, I wouldn't have imagined when I was sitting through the presentations that are going on that I would get an opportunity to be speaking on this platform, let alone having 2 papers being showcased in the very AAC journal that has been presented to us, and which has been, a great source of learning throughout our AAC journey. So, all through our journey, it has been through articles, stories, and content from leading companies like yours, Zera, Solvit, which have been a source of inspiration for us, which is what led us to start the AAC industry in India and venture into this wonderful world of AAC, which has not just become a career option for us, but also has been a great source of success and recognition for us. Through this paper, we'd like you to turn your eyes and take note of what has been happening in the Indian subcontinent, where in a short span of 15 years, more than 150 factories have come up, making it the second largest producer of AAC in the world after China. We at Magicrete take pride in having been instrumental in triggering this revolution and also having become the largest manufacturer of AAC in our country. We today have close to 5 manufacturing facilities and a total installed capacity of 1.3 million cubic meters, which will become close to 1.8 million cubic meters by the end of this year. It was really a proud moment for us when our ICAAC Honorary President, Mr. Josh Cox, introduced the AAC growth potential at his inaugural address, introduced about the growth potential of AAC in India. What drove us to venture into this AAC industry back then in 2008, when we had graduated from college, are 2 very important facts. One, that we wanted to be part of a very large opportunity, and real estate industry provides us that very big opportunity. It's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity in India, and it's almost 10% the size of our GDP. Building material industry is equally significant industry, and bricks is the 3rd largest consumed building material after steel and cement. It was at that point of time close to $10 billion opportunity in India. Another important fact was that we didn't want to be part of a conventional value chain. We thought that we would like to do something with energy efficiency, resource efficiency, or labor efficiency. And what better a product than AAC that offers us all that. Construction industry in India and across the globe has been a laggard when it comes to productivity growth. The main reason for that is that houses are still built on site. This is when I compare with manufacturing industry, where like how cars are built in factories. So our dream was, if we could build houses in factories instead of on site, we could change that. And it was with this very mission that we found Magicrete in 2008, with the idea of helping people build their homes better, faster, and cheaper by use of innovative construction technologies. With this, I would like to call upon Siddharth, my co-founder and colleague, to take us through this presentation. Thank you.
So this presentation is in 3 sections. I will skip the first one because the company has already been introduced. I will straight away move to the second section, which is about AEC overview in India. A very interesting thing. So when few of our colleagues came to the Poland conference in 2011, India had only 3 or 4 AEC plants. When we came in the conference in 2017, India had 70 to 80 AEC plants. And 2018, sorry. And when we come in 2023, India has 150 AEC plants. So in a way, one plant has been added every month in India. So last 10 years, 120 plants have been added. One plant, new plant starts in India every month. That is India for you. A growth of 25 times in 15 years, and we are fortunate to be part of this high growth industry. Another fact about India, which is quite surprising, in Europe, probably 95% plants are sand-based. In China, and we hear 60% plants are sand-based. In India, it is 95% plants are all fly ash-based. Only 6% are sand-based. Remaining 94% plants are all fly ash-based. Obviously, the big reason is availability of fly ash. As Josh was saying outside, when the industry started in Poland, it was based on shale oil. Similarly, in India, the industry is based out of a waste raw material, which is fly ash. So we are also following the trajectory of what happened in Europe, starting the industry from a waste material. As I mentioned, India still generates electricity using coal and lignite power plants. In terms of installed capacity, nearly 50% of installed capacity of power generation is coal and lignite. And more interestingly, 70% of the actual energy generated is based on coal and lignite. The gap comes because obviously solar and wind do not generate 24 hours. So in terms of actual generation, 70% of energy produced in India is from coal plants, and hence the huge generation of fly ash. This is an interesting graph how in the last 20 years the generation of fly ash has happened. The green one is the generation. So as you can see, in 20 years, fly ash generation in India increased from 65 million tons per annum to 270 million tons per annum. So 4 times, because India was growing very rapidly in the last 2 decades, and to meet the energy requirements, it had no option but to generate electricity using coal. Fortunately, the growth in fly ash consumption has even been better. From only 6 million tons, which was say 10% utilization of fly ash, now almost 95-98% of fly ash is consumed in India. So probably one of the great examples of circularity. India needed coal to power its economy, but entire fly ash is actually now being consumed, and AAC happens to consume 10% of the fly ash. Cement being the largest consumer, AAC is now the second largest consumer of fly ash in India. This is various uses of fly ash, and as you can see, nearly 10 to 12% is used by AAC, which was absent 15 years back. Because this industry never existed. Another interesting fact about AAC. So I've been listening to the net zero targets of AAC industry, and it is quite amusing for us because we are talking about AAC going from 180 kg per m3 to 75-80 kg per m3 of carbon emissions. In India, where we are currently, we are still using clay bricks. 80-85% of construction in India still happens in clay bricks, which are probably around 500 kg of carbon emissions per m3. So we are way in India. 10 and 15 years back, we are entirely a clay brick industry. There was a recent article. We produce 230 billion bricks per year in India, and the brick industry consumes 35 million tons of coal and 25 million tons of biomass. AAC industry has been quite has been able to replace 10% of the clay brick industry to AAC, and hence a lot of carbon emissions are being saved. Obviously, we are way behind the curve where Europe is in terms of carbon emissions, but at least it's a good start. From a 500 kg per m3, at least we are getting down the carbon emissions to 180, 160 kg levels by converting clay bricks to AAC. And fortunately, few of the AAC producers have also got carbon credits for AAC production. This is what we have done. The numbers are actually, the commas are at two places, which is typical in India, so it might be difficult for you to read. It's actually 7 million cubic meters of production which we as Magicrete have done, and corresponding numbers of how much fly ash we have consumed, how much coal we have saved. So huge environmental impact, and as I said, 150 plants together doing this kind of carbon savings is a revolution in India. In fact, recently in Vigyan Bhavan, the Minister of Urban Housing actually praised AAC blocks as one of the largest carbon initiatives in India. Now coming to few recent developments. As I mentioned, when the industry started, there was just one plant starting every month. A lot of challenges. The finishing was not proper. There were strength issues. Fly ash had carbon content, so mold used to collapse. So all of us had a lot of our initial struggles. The industry was not automated, so our factories had huge labor, and waste generation 3 to 5% is very normal even now. So all these were the challenges which we faced as an industry. Thankfully, over time, all of us collaborated. I just showed some photos, some old photos. When we started, there were a lot of this issues of scrap material at the top. Then we started installing suctions in the cutting machines or the grouping cranes to remove that and make better finishing. This might look very normal for advanced plants in Europe, but in India, when we started, this was the little innovations which people actually did. Then on the R&D, we actually engaged in using admixtures. So there is one more paper which is presented by our colleague who unfortunately could not come, but we also played with admixtures to improve the product quality. This is a sample from that paper where we have been able to show increase in strength by 5 to 15% using different kinds of admixtures. And the primary reason is obviously better dispersion of cement. One of our friends in Coromix also presented a paper on this. So we have been also able to do a lot of research around admixtures to improve product quality. And now, thankfully, government has included AAC as a standard volume material, and a lot of the standard contracts of government includes AAC. So Ministry of Urban Housing, all the large contractors in India, all of them are now using AAC. So last 15 years, we have been able to create a dent in the industry. And on conclusion, I would like to say this is, India has really grown in 15 years, 25 times, from 1 million to 25 million cubic meters. But that said, even now, the AAC penetration is 6 to 7%, on the higher side probably 9%. As we were hearing from our Polish friends, there it is 40 to 45% market penetration. So we believe still a long way to go. China has 2,000 AAC plants, India has still 150. And as we are speaking, Europe showed the way to the world in the first 100 years of AAC. Hopefully India should lead in the next 100 years of AAC. That's all from our side. Thank you.
Can you still? Thank you very much for this excellent, was a brief but very professional overview on what's happening in India. I believe that lots of questions are going to follow. Well, any questions? Mr. Schobert.
Thank you for the presentation. It's unbelievable, the development and the excitement that you must feel in India for the industry. As you are building so many plants, constantly constructing, and I know that India is very good in innovation and developing equipment and so forth. When you are building, are you building with Indian manufactured equipment, which then enables you to build it more cost efficiently, or are you using equipment from more known brands?
It's actually a combination. Hello. It's a combination. So I think China, Europe, and India. It's a combination. So different people take different approaches. I don't have a ready number in mind, but probably 50 to 60% might be from China, around 10% from Europe, and 30 to 40% from India. This could be the rough split, but obviously it's quite dynamic.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your excellent speech. One question is, what's the normal density of the AAC block at present in the Indian market? And some others. What's the typical application in the construction side? Internal wall or external wall, or load bearing or non-load bearing? And the second question is, are there any panel application at present in Indian market? Thank you.
On the first one, the standard density in India is 600, dry density of 600, which is quite high compared to European standards, which is like 400, but quite low compared to clay bricks, which is 2000. So India is 95% 600 kg per NQ. It is used both in internal and external walls, and primarily non-load bearing. And panels have been started. In fact, Magicrete has put up a panel plant as well 3 years back. Still early stages. At a pan-India level, the penetration might be 1 or 2%, very low penetration. But we have been able to sell to Foxconn is building a large iPhone factory in India. So they are our customers. Microsoft is building data centers in India. They are our customers. So few of the large global customers who are putting up factories in India, they are using panels. So panels are catching up. It might take time, but yeah, it is catching up.
On your questions on panels, I'd like to add that I read a report where it mentioned that globally almost 30% of AAC that is built is in form of panels. We believe that something similar is going to happen in India over the next decade. Today it is minuscule number, but how the direction India probably might take is in the metro cities, the larger cities, will see the market shifting from blocks to panels, whereas in the rural hinterland of the country, we'll see more adoption of blocks where presently clay bricks are being used.
Further questions? Then I have a question. What would be the impact of climate change, environmental issues, CO2 reduction on the growth of AAC industry in India? How do you see further development?
Obviously, first is India, as I mentioned, is at very different level, at clay brick level, which is 500 kg per. So the first transition which is happening is from clay bricks to AAC, which is hugely environmentally beneficial. If you talk 20 years from now, when probably fly ash generation might reduce, when India also moves to more solar and more wind, at that time India might start going to sand-based. So, but overall, a huge positive impact on carbon emission. In fact, government has made it mandatory not to use clay bricks in large projects in India. On the ground implementation is taking time because AAC industry is catching up. But over time, even government wants to eliminate clay bricks. So that will be a huge shift which will happen.
Yeah. So that this shift from clay bricks to AAC is also perhaps not supported by governments, but at least there are some incentives to do that shift.
Yeah, the government is giving incentives in a way that government is, or at least on paper, it is saying there will be a penalty if you don't use a fly ash based product. If you use clay brick based product, there will be a penalty on the builder. On ground implementation, because it's a large country, very difficult to implement strict rules. But over time, market will, and also because it is green in nature. The cost is lower than clay bricks now.
So cost of AC is lower.
Yeah,
than
it
the
is
cost
actually
of
now.
clay
When
bricks.
we started the industry, it was 1.5 times of clay brick. Now it is 80% of clay bricks.
Is it the only competitor, clay bricks?
There are concrete blocks. There are primarily clay bricks and concrete blocks. And my one as an aluminium form shuttering. Those are the main ones.
Any further questions? Then I wish our colleagues in India